our model is AutoLedger. And our agenda is we're going to share our offer to you guys as investors. The problem that exists in the solution that our company proposes, key features and how it works, a smart contract example with our company, and our market strategy and business model, and our launch plan, and what your offers are, and we are asking for $50,000 in exchange for 10% equity in our company, AutoLedger.
Let's skip it.
This is Bob. Meet Bob. Bob wants a newer used car, as you can see. So he checks Carfax. But the report's incomplete. He feels lost. Who can he trust? Introducing AutoLedger.
So Sarah's fun example is indicative of a larger problem within the market. So first, let's talk about car history reports. Services like Carfax are household names. The reality is they're only as good as the information they are given. That information is often incomplete, delayed, or missing entirely. If an accident isn't reported to insurance, or if it is fixed privately, it usually never shows up. Small mechanics, independent garages, their records almost never make it into Carfax unless they pay to upload it manually. The result is that buyers only see a partial picture, not the whole story. And that partial picture can hide serious risks like frame damage or hidden repairs. And studies show that up to 20% of major accidents never appear in car history reports. So imagine you buy a car and you find out months later that it had been totaled and nobody told you. And even if a buyer digs deeper, the information is scattered across different organizations. A repair shop might have a service invoice. An insurance company might have an accident claim. The DMV might have a title update. And a dealership might know about a previous issue, but choose not to disclose it for whatever reason. There's no centralized place pulling all of this information together reliably. Each player holds just a few pieces of the puzzle, and ultimately it's up for the buyer to put it together manually. In short, fragmentation is built into the system, and consumers are the ones who pay for it. And as we know from class, where there is fragmentation in the system, there is fraud. Has anyone seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, that movie? You have? You know the scene where he like rolls back the odometer to make sure his dad doesn't? So that's actually a huge issue in the US. Odometer rollbacks alone impacts 450,000 vehicles every year in the United States, costing buyers thousands of dollars per year. Sellers can easily reset a digital odometer, sell the car at a premium, and no standard database catches it. And title washing is just as bad. A car that's declared a total loss in one state might simply be re-registered in another state with a clean title because DMVs don't synchronize records across state lines very effectively. The systems that are supposed to protect buyers are so full of holes that they actually enable fraud to flourish. And even when buyers and sellers act in good faith, the process is often slow, manual, and expensive. A private sale, you'll pay escrow companies hundreds of dollars just to hold your money safely. A dealership sale, you'll pay thousands of dollars in processing fees and wait weeks for paperwork to move through the DMV. It's a process that is built for a paper-based world, not for today's digital, instant, and mobile-first reality. At every stage, from history reporting to fraud protection to ownership transfer, the current system is broken. Buyers pay too much, sellers lose trust, and fraudsters avoid the gaps. Honest transactions are slow and costly. Everyone loses except for the middleman. That's why we need a fundamentally new approach, one that makes trust automatic, transparent, and efficient. So we've just shown you how broken the current system is, how buyers, sellers, and even dealerships are stuck trusting incomplete, fragmented, and outdated information. But imagine if there were a better way, a way to make every vehicle's life story trustworthy, transparent, and instantly accessible, without paperwork, without doubt, and ultimately without risk. And to help guide you through this way, we'd like to introduce you here to someone special. This is Gidget. Gidget is our AutoLedger mascot. Because when you think about it, what better symbol for loyalty, trust, and transparency than a dog? Gidget reminds us that buying a car shouldn't be about taking a leap of faith. It should be about trusting what you are getting, just like you would trust a loyal friend. In just a moment, we'll show you how AutoLedger, with Gidget by our side, delivers real trust, real transparency, and real ownership freedom for buyers and sellers alike. But first, we'll have Sammy talk about some key features.
Awesome. Now we are going to jump into the key features of AutoLedger. This is huge because it completely transforms the car buying process and vehicle maintenance history. First, we're looking at complete history in one place. That means everything from mechanics, DMVs, insurers, titles, owners, everything in one place, which is amazing because I'm sure everyone's seen, you look at a used car, you see a huge Carfax report, it costs $45.99. You get it and it's wrong. It doesn't have everything on there, and you, as a secondhand buyer, feel lost and don't understand what to do. On top of that, we have peer-to-peer ownership transactions. What that means is we use smart contracts to transfer ownerships or titles between the brokers, the escrows, and you. That means instead of going to the DMV and waiting in a 5-hour line from 6 a.m. right when they open with the title in hand, all you need to do is sign it. All you do is press the button, and that's it. Title transferred. In the code, it's immutable. It's not changing. Once it's in your hands, the contract has been executed, and that's that. On top of that, all our maintenance records are verified. Only licensed and verified service providers are able to update it. And like I said, once they do, it's immutable, it's in the code, and that's that. That means no mileage rollbacks. It means no title washing. It means no hidden accents. For you as the consumer, you get to see everything at once. And then I'm sure, like everyone can see on the board, we have an app. And that's what the big key seller is. All you have to do is pull out your phone, take out your camera, and scan the VIN on your car. And all vehicle history will be there right at the tip of your fingers. No scrolling through Carfax, no $45 premium, no trying to trust that it's all right. All you do is scan it and it's right in front of you.
So a lot of this information may be redundant from what we said, but we want to emphasize why you should pick us over using Carfax. So with Carfax, you have incomplete insurance claims, service shops, and DMV records. But with us, you get certified mechanics, you get insurers, dealerships, DMVs, all verified and complete on the blockchain. With Carfax, you get potentially outdated or missing reports. With us, our data is inherently tamper-proof because it is immutable on the blockchain. For Carfax, you get hidden gaps. They are possible, and it relies on voluntary reporting. But with us, you have a full life cycle history of a vehicle. From service, ownership, accidents, it is all publicly accessible on the blockchain. With Carfax, you have very limited fraud protection and doesn't prevent things like odometer rollback or title washing at all. But with us, the blockchain records and prevents rollback, title washing, and any sort of falsification. With Carfax, there is no transaction support history present, but with us, there are smart contracts for secure, automated, peer-to-peer ownership transfers. And finally, with Carfax, there are periodic but often delayed updates. With us, there are real-time updates 24/7 from verified service providers.
All right, so on the left is a sample of our smart contract codes. This example breaks down the peer-to-peer car sales on AutoLedger. So first we have the buyer and seller that are connected through the contract. The buyer, you can see on the left, can approve the car inspection, and then the buyer deposits the agreed upon payment securely into the smart contract. So once both the inspection and the approved payment is made, the contract automatically finalizes the sale. It transfers the fund directly to the seller without any middleman. So how do you know if this transaction has gone through? On the right, we can see the buyer and seller's wallet IDs, and then the price that they paid, and then the transaction status is either, if it went through or if it did not go through. And so this is kind of like the background of our coding and how our app, is run. But in the next slide, we'll touch on what the app actually looks like and how it is run in real time.
All right, now we are gonna look a little bit at our user interfaces. Everyone can see. It's very simple. It's not confusing. It's not messy. There's not too many things going on. But let's talk about how this actually works. Like I said, it's a click of a button. You pull your phone out, you scan your car's VIN number, and all of the vehicle history appears instantaneously from the blockchain. Once that happens and you want to transfer the title between you and another peer, a smart contract automatically sets up a secure transaction. Instead of having a middleman, instead of going to the DMV, the payment is held safely in a smart escrow system. So there's no one holding that could steal your money. You're not going to the DMV, like I said, and having to wait on that system. It's held there. Once the payment is released and everything is verified, ownership transfers digitally and permanently. It's immutable. Once you get that title, there's no going back on it. And you know that everything that you saw is accurate. There's no hidden accidents in that car. There's no hail damage or flood damage or anything like that. You're getting what you pay for. After that, the new owner and updated records are recorded immutably on chain, and that's it. It's over. The click of a button, the flash of your camera, you have the car now. No middleman, no waiting, no extra fees you didn't know about, and no hidden accidents.
So you all might have some questions about how this is going to be implemented, given how big Carfax is right now. And we have some potential challenges that we might face and some ways that we can overcome them. So first one is potentially facing adoption resistance, where not everybody implements the system properly. So we're going to start with luxury dealers and early adopters, and we're going to certify high-value cars to bring an incentive to using the system. And another problem we might have is legacy system integration, because there's so much data out there that's already reported in different softwares that it might be a problem to move everything over. But what we'll do is we'll build simple API data feeds for DMVs and for fleets, so computers can communicate with each other and get the data connected. And we know that there are millions of entries out there and a ton of records out there. So how do we make sure that the data is accurate given the scale? What we can do is we can vet mechanics and we can offer rewards and incentives for proper logs. So for example, we could help a dealership promote themselves if they have shown that their mechanics are reliable and enter correct data into our platform. And that would encourage people to visit the dealership. And since we want this to get to your average consumer, we want to make sure that we focus on user friendliness and simplicity with our app. That's why we have an app. So that way everyone can use it and it's not just for people who know a lot about the system.
All right, now let's look at the go-to-market strategy. Like we touched on a little bit earlier, we want to have partnerships with dealerships and repair shops. We want to collaborate with them, with these trusted service providers, and preload the vehicle history on the blockchain. Little bit like how Carfax does it, but we want to make sure that it is actually accurate before we put it on the blockchain. With that, we want to incentivize service providers, whether that's token rewards or some other way. We can give them Ethereum, Solana, however we want to do it, and however these dealerships want us to do it, in order to get accurate history on there. And that's why we need you guys. We need the initial investment and we need to raise the money to have the capital in order to do this. Because once we're started, we're good to go. Once we have the history and our partnerships, we're set. With that, like we looked at, we have the mobile app launch. It's simple, it's easy to use, it's customer friendly for you guys to be able to pick it up, scan your car, and see exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Obviously, everyone knows the Carfax Fox, but we want everyone to know our mascot. We want it to be on billboards. We want it to be in videos. When you think of finding your car's history, we don't want you to think of the Carfax Fox. We want you to think of Gidget. Now, finally, the bigger thing is we need pilot programs. Like we touched on earlier, we can start at luxury dealerships because they have smaller demand. That means we're not throwing our app at 100,000 people for them all to use it at once just to find bugs in it. We'll send out a beta, for these high-class dealerships with fewer customers, make sure everything is running smoothly, and do this across the US before we send it everywhere.
So our business model, so as we mentioned before, Carfax charges like $44.99 for each car report, and then they give you a discount if you order more. So what we'll do is we'll have a small fee for verified title transfers and service updates, and Carfax only has static PDFs. And we'll offer live tamper-proof ownership of those things too, to like dealers and fleets, and give different subscription incentives, and we'll all have it at a flat fee. And then we'll also get into data licensing and licensed blockchain verification, DMVs, as we mentioned, integrating data together. And we'll partner with luxury dealerships to certify high-value vehicles and bring a nice touch to that. And then we'll enable trusted mechanics to upload service records to blockchain instantly, so it's not a giant paperwork mess with that. And then we'll incentivize insurers and lenders to offer discounts for verified histories from AutoLedger. For example, if we find that a car that uses AutoLedger and has an AutoLedger verified history has a lower accident rate, then it's likely the insurance would like to have that on their plan. And we can launch an AutoLedger verified certification badge for promotions and stuff. As I mentioned earlier, if a dealership and repair shop happens to have the AutoLedger verified badge on it, it's more likely that people would like to use them.
So now that you know the benefit of our product, I assume you're asking what's the next step and how we're gonna use the funding. I'm gonna go in depth of how we're gonna use we're gonna implement the pilot program. So first, in the first 3 months after we get the funding, we will go live, go quietly through California. We will ingest real VIN data from the DMV sandbox, plus partner with a couple of the luxury car dealership in California, because we know most of the wealthy people host a lot of crypto. Just give us the products feedback without public traffic yet. And then by month 6, we open the door to every private party buyers and sellers in California through our app on iOS, Android, and then we run joint PR with both DMV and the dealership. And then by month 9, that's when the revenue start coming in. We will start, if the pilot program is successful, we'll start charging, we will switch to the monetization system. We will charge the dealership, the DMV for the data that we got. And then by month 12, once we can show traction in California, we then replicate the same playbook in other states. And we are aiming on opening up to Colorado and Texas, because those 2 states that already have digital title initiative. So with a very high car volume, like luxury car, that is where the network effect start kicking in.
So here's the funding journey. As we're speaking right now, we are in the pre-seed round. So like we mentioned before, we're looking for $50,000. And in return, we're offering 10% ownership in AutoLedger. It's a straight equity deal where you guys become real investors from day one. And then in about 6 months, after our pilot is successful, we'll raise our next round of funding around $500,000 to $750,000, mostly from angel investors and early stage venture capital firms. We know as AutoLedger, we're going to be growing really fast. We want to make sure we keep up with the app and make sure the app is running smoothly and make sure there's, no bugs or anything that we have to fix. And then around 9 to 12 months, once that we show early revenue and user growth, we'll start a 3rd round of funding, raising around 5 to 8 million from bigger venture capital firms that specialize in tech and blockchain. And that they would also help us, like Bill said, grow into these states like Colorado, Texas. And then finally, once we're scaling across the country, we'll raise our last round of funding around 20 to 30 million from large venture capital firms, private equity firms, and corporate investors who want to be a part of our platform success when we're growing nationwide. So, yeah.
Thanks to AutoLedger, Bob is writing in style with a car report he can trust. Vroom, vroom.
Then
We're not done.